Okay. So we can, I guess it all sounds pretty good. So we'll just start the recording. So welcome to the rock and roll trio of Brown, Hawkins, Stanley. So I get the first obvious question is, how did you guys get the name?
I thought you were gonna ask us how we decided which order to put them in. But
Oh yeah, well that's part of how'd you get the name.
It was computer generated. It was randomly generated by AI.
Oh, perfect. That's probably the most egalitarian way to go. So we're here to talk about your show you're doing October 5th in Hamilton at the Mule Spinner, but you're playing elsewhere around the province of Ontario. Are you playing outside? Oh, you're playing in New York State as well, I guess. Are those the two places you're playing?
One sort of dip into Quebec as well.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you're playing October 5th in Hamilton, the Mule Spinner. So the real obvious question is, what happens at a Brown, Hawkins, Stanley show? We have two of you were in a band together. I don't know if Chris Brown's ever been in a band with Stephen or with Ron, but Ron and Stephen were in a band together, Lowest to the Low. Ron has been in multiple of his own bands. Stephen has been in his own Stephen Stanley project. And Chris Brown has been in Bourbon Tabernacle Choir, Chris and Kate, short time in Crash Test Dummies. I don't know if that counts on your resume or not. I did see you play a pipe organ in Duluth, Minnesota with Crash Test Dummies, though, and various Chris Brown projects, including co-owning the Wolf Island Hotel. So somehow you all came together, obviously knowing each other through the years, and came up with this idea. So what's the idea?
Well, so I can take this. Are you hearing all the echoes?
yeah,
I'm hearing a lot of echoes. If that's going on the recording, it's probably a problem.
It doesn't sound too bad over here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you're just hearing us in the room and on the.
I was saying we're probably on each other's mics.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. Still a little bit, but it's not bad. Well, so Jeff, Ron and I got to talking during the pandemic and just sort of thought we would do a show. We did one of the drive-in shows where people sit in their cars and honk on the horns, and it was kind of fun. It was fun, mostly fun to play again, and so we sort of thought we'd do something again. And I suggested doing something on Wolf Island, where Chris has bought the hotel on Wolf Island and turned it into quite an amazing music venue and restaurant and number of other things Chris can go into, community sort of hub for the whole island. And when I said that, Ron said, well, let's get Chris to play. And that sort of then morphed into doing a string of dates rather than just learning a bunch of songs and just doing one show. So we are learning somewhere between 60 and 80 songs, and we won't do all those songs every night, but the idea is to have the shows be a little bit unique every time, and really to be on stage the whole time together and just mix things up and kind of reimagine everything that we've all done separately as a three-piece group with a number of different arrangements of instruments that we can sort of bring to the table amongst the three of us.
Well, that sounds pretty good. So that is very succinct, too succinct. So also I'll just say, when you're not talking, it's best to mute just so that there is no sound bleed between anybody, just in case. But my next question is, so you've learned 60 to 80 songs, which is pretty good. Are you playing songs not of Lowest to Low, Ron Hawkins, Steve Stanley, Chris Brown, Chris and Kate, and Bourbon Tabernacle Choir, as well as those songs?
We haven't had a rehearsal yet. So
so you don't even really know.
We don't even really know. We've been working on our own, and I think we're going to have our first rehearsals Monday and Tuesday of next week to work out all the stuff that we've been working on that are amongst all those bands you mentioned. And then I'm sure stuff will come up, because that's the kind of people we are. I'm sure stuff will come up that will, hey, wouldn't it be funny if, or wouldn't it be awesome if, or what a treat for people if, like, those questions will get answered.
So that pandemic show, you did that pandemic show with Stephen, And that was like, as far as I know, that's the first time you guys played together in a number of years. Obviously, that was pretty fun then.
Yeah, I think Steve asked me, "Hey, do you want to do this drive-in show?" And I was like, "No." And it wasn't because of Steve. It was because I thought would be the weirdest thing in the world. I'm like, what are they going to do? Honk? And he's like, "Yeah, I think so." And but then, of course, yeah, because Steve and I had recently reburied. We're running out of places to bury hatchets, but we reburied hatchets again, and we have a cache of them, and decided to do this. So it was that idea was fun enough. And it was like, well, we don't have a lot of options in the pandemic. Let's try this. And it turned out to be awesome. You know, it was so funny because they projected the show on the drive-in screen, which is where they were. And then because our audience, our community has been so tight, they did some crazy stuff. Like anytime there was a thing in a song, like there was a couple of sort of hand clap kind of things that were specific in a song, they were honking the hand claps. And then there's some places like in Bleed a Little While Tonight, it's become a custom for me to stop during the line, Alex never gets what she wants. So I stopped anyway, just to see what would happen. And they went, wah, 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 wah. You know, they were Morse coding that out. So that turned out to be quite amazing. Like did you think, Steve, like it was kind of surreal in a cool way?
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. And I think they took it so seriously that anybody that drank too much that was vomiting, they didn't call it vomiting, they called it honking. So just that. The one thing that struck me about what you just said is the burying of hatchets. We've actually, between the two of us, there's so many hatchets buried around the city now. It's like pretty easy just to kind of access one if we need it. Anyways, yeah, the drive-in show was fun. You know, I think the playing in front of cars was a bit weird, but ended up being quite a fun experience. To me, the fun part of it was we both kind of we did some lowest of the low stuff, but we did a lot of solo stuff, and it was fun to play on Ron's solo stuff. And I also really liked what he had kind of brought to the songs that I interjected into that show. So doing that in expanded form and on a multiple night sort of idea made a lot of sense. And then, so I'll let Chris jump in and talk a bit about this, but I'll just say this, like Chris and I have worked together for the last 5 years and have played together a lot over those 5 years. So I guess I'm kind of the connection between these two guys as far as somebody who's played with both of them. That being said, we're really kind of in all cases, I think, mining a group of songs that we've not played together ever. So that's going to be interesting and fun. And as Ron said, we're rehearsing next week. So that's going to be kind of cool to get into the jam space.
Yeah, Stephen and I are just coming to the tail end of the second record of his that we've made together. And the first one we went to Europe on, we went to actually Ireland and the UK. And Stephen over the last few years has been hanging out more and more on the island. And so our relationship is very much in the present tense. And then my relationship and knowledge of both Stephen and Ron, go back to my teenage years when the Bourbon started touring at the same time that Lowest of the Low were touring, and we're very, very much on the same path, around the country. And it was at a time when you played 200 shows a year and you played the Diamond, and then you went away for a couple of weeks and you came back and played a weekend at Lee's Palace. And it was a very different time culturally in terms of live music. I think that's starting to reemerge, but I think that's something that we share, is just cutting our teeth on being live touring musicians. So needless to say, COVID interruptus has been like extreme. And so for me, this is the first real tour. I've done one-off dates and stuff, but this is a real tour I've done since COVID. So it feels really good to be having it in the sites.
Well, that's cool. And then are you where are you rehearsing? Are you rehearsing at the Wolf Island Hotel?
Yeah, everybody's coming to the island, and we're going to shack up at the hotel for 3 days next week and run stuff. And we've been kind of, all of us proposed tunes that we kind of put into the hat, and we'll just start playing through them,
Right, maybe you could pass the hat. We could pass the hat around, and everyone could write the songs they want to hear at the show, and then you could play those.
We could do that. We could pretend to be reading the songs that we're about to play and go, oh, look at this.
That's a genius move. I don't think anyone's ever done it before.
Someone just requested, okay, do you think we have got that? Well, let's try.
Here goes nothing.
Yeah, here goes nothing.
Well, I saw Neil Young once do a solo show, and he'd like walk around and pick up one guitar and then put it down, then pick up a different one and shake his head and then go sit at the piano and then play. And I'm thinking, did he really not know what song he was going to play next?
Could be.
It's possible. Anything's possible.
If he was solo, it could be. And I just know that because Rocky lives on the island, was on the road with Neil forever, and they would take all the instruments out, regardless whether he's playing organ or piano or whatever, and they'd either get used or not. So it was a solo show that could have, been not showbiz.
Well, I know that the show in Hamilton, I'm sure all of them are doing well, but it's the show in Hamilton selling particularly well and sold really fast, really quickly. It's not quite sold out yet, but I anticipate that show will be sold out. So obviously there's some anticipation built up. I think I've been to a few shows over the pandemic, and it's hard to know, or whatever we're in, like post-pandemic, a semi-post, hoping for a post-pandemic period of shows. And they seem, the crowds are really good when they're full. The crowds are ready to enjoy music and be thankful and be happy to be out with each other. So I think it'll be really good. And I love either Stephen or Chris, have you ever played at the Mule Spinner?
I don't believe I have. No, I think the last time I played Hamilton was the Casbah. Would that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Ron's played it a couple of times. Oh yeah, we got a cat too. Is the cat coming?
The cat wants to know.
The cat's not coming, I don't think.
I have not played Mule Spinner yet. I've only seen pictures, and I'm looking forward to it. I've played a lot in Hamilton at a place called the Capitol Bar, actually, which I'm not sure how close that is to the Mule Spinner, but that's where
I'm not sure where that place is. But Ron's played there a couple of times, and I thought they were magical and amazing shows.
Yeah, it's a great room for a vibe, for sure. Like it's the minute you step in there, it feels like something cool is going to happen. And the lighting's great and everything. Like I think it's a perfect vibe for this. It's very intimate. It's going to be very people are close, which is going to be great.
Yeah, was the room, the sound in the room is really good. It was the room was designed by Glenn Marshall, who's promoting the show with me, and Bob Lanois. So it's kind of like a beautiful. It's kind of a beautiful space, reminiscent of the shack that Bob used to have, and I don't know. There's something really special about it. Every time you walk into it, I'm like, this is gonna be great. And but I've only done a few shows there myself, but I spent a bunch of time there, and I think it'll be cool. It's the first show that I've been involved in post-pandemic where I'm the promoter.
Cool.
So I think it's going to be a totally awesome show, and I hope that we'll be able to completely sell it out, but it's going to be pretty close either way.
Forgive maybe a dumb question, but is it in the round? is it circular, like the audience all around you there?
No, we can set it up however you want. Actually, we could set it up that way, but we have, as it stands, the traditional way of setting up is it's a room that looks like it's a warehouse kind of space, like an old factory. So it was the whole place is the cotton factory in Hamilton, and it was a cotton factory where they built these giant sails. And I think the Mule Spinner refers to probably a place where the mule used to make something go around so they could weave the cotton together.
Right.
And but it's a kind of a square room, has doors on either side and a big courtyard outside. The first show Ron did there, we had barrels outside with fire in them and stuff. And I was like, well, it's like everything here feels illegal. And, it's completely legal. But it felt cool. And so it's this warehouse brick space, like we were used to from a long time ago, when that was the only place you could carve out to play. And it's, so we sort of have a little bit of a stage and everyone kind of faces on mostly one side, but it's bleeding over to the sides. But if you wanted to set up in the middle, we could also do that. That would be it. We could literally do anything you want. Glenn's the most resourceful person in the world as far as audio and visual is concerned.
Right.
And
no, I wasn't advocating for it. I think I saw pictures of you playing there, and it looked like people were all around you. But
People are
Yeah,
kind
they
of
could
around
get-
you on three sides.
yeah, okay.
yeah, three sides, and then you have the wall behind you. But so actually, that's another question I have though. In your performance, like sort of when Ron sent me an email saying, I'm going to do a tour with Stephen and Chris. Where do you think you should play in Hamilton? It was like the Mule Spinner, and I want to be involved in the show. But I didn't even have any idea of the show, so I'm like, well, is it a songwriters show? Like it felt like a songwriters show, but then to me, when I'm talking to you, it sounds like sometimes you're doing a songwriters show, and these other two guys are in your band. Did you think that's the vibe it'll be, or sometimes will you play by yourself, or do you
It's
even
mine. It's mine. Does no one talk to you about this?
know? No, but look, I'm still interested.
Yeah, we're just teching for Chris. We're not actually playing,
Yeah, it's mine.
carrying his gear around.
And the balloons.
Yeah, it is my name.
No, it is as you say. We're going to be all three of us on stage the whole time. So that's hence why we're learning each other's songs, and which will be great because I just know that the songs will kind of take a life on their own given the individuals involved. So we're going to be backing each other up, and that'll take what it takes. We'll see. You can tell us after it happens.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out.
There'll probably be
The-
at least a couple battle raps.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
assuming.
yeah. Good thinking.
Yeah, I think you're right though, Jeff. I think there'll be songs where, as Chris said, it'll be one guy being backed up by their two guys, but I think there's going to be things where it really feels like it's three people kind of pulling the same amount of weight, and that remains to be seen. Like we're gonna spend a couple days just going through everything and seeing what pops and what doesn't, and I think just because of the instruments we'll be using, they'll be a little different than anybody's heard these songs before, and hopefully they'll go in some weird directions. I think we're all kind of into that. We're all kind of into just letting things sort of go where they go.
I'm not sure if
That's
Chris
cool.
heard this yet, but going over the songs, I think it was, I can't remember which song it was, but I thought maybe I'm going to play kazoo and tambourine, because there's a great sort of like keyboard looping line that I thought, well, that'll sound great on a kazoo, and I can stamp on a tambourine while I'm doing it. So
Wicked. That's
I
great.
think stuff like that's going to happen.
And so you'll be like outside the door, like as people are coming in.
Mm-hmm. Busking downtown.
So and we'll get Jeff to have a sandwich board that says
Yeah.
"Families welcome." Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Perfect.
This
That's a
is
good idea.
great.
Well, there'll
Like,
be
it's
no
not-
one. There's no one walking by the Mule Spinner. That's another thing that's worth noting. It's in the industrial zone of Hamilton, so we could walk out with a sandwich board, but no one except the people coming to the show will go. There's plenty of parking. That's a good thing about the show. And but yeah, it's not too far from Barton, but it's like it's literally in the middle. It feels like it's in the middle of nowhere, which is another reason that contributes to the illegality feeling of it. The other thing I was going to say is, so once a long time ago, I went to see Wallace Shawn do a reading, and at the beginning of the show, he said, there's, before the lights go out, there's a number of things that people need to know, and the lights go out, and then you can't ask those questions, and so it's good to get them out of the way now. And his first question, he said, that some people want to know is, how long will this show be? And I thought that was the most hilarious thing. But I thought sometimes during the middle of the show, I do think, yeah, when does this end? But it sounds like you guys probably don't even know how long your show will be. It sounds like your show will take a shape to it. But what do you think about how long?
It'll be too long for sure.
It'll be too long. Yeah.
No, I think it'll be long. I think it will be lots of value for money is what it will be. It'll be a lot of songs. And for those people who want to come to the illegal part of town in Hamilton and see us, I think they'll be very, very, very satisfied, because I think we're going to cover a lot of ground. Some, stuff that we've covered together and some stuff that's just solo, as you say. And like Chris said, some reimaginings of things. And of course, we're all gabbers. So I'm sure there'll be lots of stories behind songs and stuff like that. So I think it really will be an experience more than just like a music show. It'll be a real experience, I hope. Or it'll suck.
And yeah, one or the other. Well, that's a guarantee. It's either going to be amazing or suck.
Yeah.
And then Analogs in May are opening. So can one of you guys talk about Analogs in May?
Yeah, Analogs in May, and is they're actually doing their CD release tonight in Toronto. They are Sarah Jarvie Clark's project, who is a really amazing songwriter. It's her debut record, and her mom is Suzanne Jarvie, who's made a number of records now that Wolf Island Records has put out, and we've been to Europe numerous times. Suzanne, Sarah, and I, and sometimes Suzanne, Sarah, Kate Fenner, and I. And yeah, Sarah plays keyboards, violin, guitar, and writes just amazing kind of ethereal work. So it'll be great because she's just kind of stepping out with this new record.
Oh, cool. Well, it'll be a good vibe for that sound of things. Is that also on Wolf Island Records?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. In fact, as the day we're doing the interview right now is the day that album releases tonight. They're playing the camera, and then tomorrow night they're doing the hotel. So
cool.
The album will be brand new. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all we need to talk about. It's October 5th, a Mule Spinner in Hamilton. And I hope everybody comes out. Do you guys want to add anything or just say goodbye?
Really looking forward to it. And I guess you can throw links up,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll put some links up to buy. Tickets are on Eventbrite, and we'll link back to your schedule.
I just want to add that we're actually in the same room.
The magic. This is the kind of magic we'll be bringing to the show.
Oh, that's amazing.
You won't know where we are in the room.
Theatrics as well.
That's what you call a surprise ending.
Yeah, I just woke up here. I don't know where I am, and I don't know where they are.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about it, and not clarifying what's going to happen at the show at all. And but I'll post this on Facebook, and everybody will be able to also be confused as they buy tickets.
Ian,
Thanks, Jeff.
That's a good closing. That's a good closing comment, though. It's definitely not going to be 3 individual sets. That won't happen. The whole idea is that we create a band for these 8 shows, and these 3 people are that band, and we interpret the songs as the 3 of us will interpret them. So it's going to be fun from that point of view, I think.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, I'll advance the show with you guys later.
All the best.
All right. See you later.
Bye.